Syracuse beating Yale 33-20 in the Dome. An exciting first half. The Orange end on an 8-0 run. Welcome into our Newhouse studios for your ACC Network Extra halftime show. Avin, Riley Underwood here with you, breaking down this game. But we're going to send it back to the Dome first, where our sideline reporter Ailey Weiss was there watching the game happen. Ailey, what'd you see in that first half?
Well, I saw a lot of action, and there are a lot of fans in here. There's even the Fulton Elementary School team with some signs I have. We love SU, big Fulton sign. So that squad over there has been pretty vocal every time the ball goes in the hoop for SU. But I was able to catch Coach Jack before she headed into the locker room, and what she's going to say to them in there is to keep playing for themselves. They have to be the ones to want it. Right now, Yale is on a pedestal that they should not be on. They need to knock them off, and this game is going to be won in the paint.
For taking the time. Really appreciate it. She'll be back for the broadcast in the second half. But Riley, the game, obviously an exciting environment there in the Dome today. Syracuse, though, struggling just a little bit with those turnovers. Let's talk about that, because that was a big story for this team with the chemistry, the different players coming on and off the floor, and we're going to dive into it more in just a little bit. But what did you see from Syracuse, and especially in that second quarter when they were trying to finally piecing it together?
Well, I saw some sloppy play, and it was from both teams. Both teams over 10 turnovers, both with 11. But for Syracuse, it just seemed those lead passes seemed to be an issue. Trying to start those fast breaks, start some momentum, get out and run, but it was just make the easy pass maybe first. Trying to do a little too much, it seems.
Yeah, well, it's difficult to build up that chemistry when there's so many different players on and off the floor at the same time. Syracuse, a lot of substitutions in that first half. Yale, not so much. So Yale sticking with their main group of 5 players, where Syracuse, they have players coming in and out all the time. A lot of the new faces on the team getting some new chances to shine in that first half, and specifically Shai Hawkins, Kira Scott also in the starting lineup for the first time.
Kira Scott gets her first start of the year. Angelica Velez in the starting lineup, her second start of the year. So we did see some new faces. We saw Isaverajo out of the starting lineup, but she's actually Syracuse's top scorer so far in the first half, and Olivia Schmidt out of the starting lineup as well after her 2 straight games starting down in Florida.
Syracuse trying to pull it together here, and let's take a look at the highlights from the first half to see exactly what happened with all the different players for SU that were on the floor. And Kyra Wood kicked things off with a bucket down low. They knew that the paint play today for Syracuse was going to be big in the first half.
Yeah, it is. And that paint play for Syracuse, they really need to pound it in the paint, because they have those big bodies, and Yale almost out physicaling them.
Definitely Georgia Woolley trying to do it all for her team. Struggling shooting early this season. Still the team's leading scorer, 15 points per game. Sophie Burrows, though, been another unsung hero. The other Aussie on this Syracuse team knocks down that 3. Kyra Wood continues to push the ball down the floor for the Orange, but the Bulldogs not going away without a fight. Avery Lee with the and 1 ties the game up there, but Isabel Verajao extends the lead for SU 23-18, and Syracuse goes into the halftime break up 33-20. Riley, what stands out to you about that first half?
Well, first off with the highlight, that Avery Lee bucket and 1, that was tough. She had a couple of those in that first half. Yale not really shooting the ball well. We expected a lot from their main man, Mackenzie Egger, but she has 8 points, but she's 3 for 12 shooting. She hasn't been as efficient as we've seen her the rest of the season.
Yeah, Yale shooting 1 for 11 from 3, but that Syracuse defense has been allowing a lot of 3-point attempts so far this season, and Yale, although they're missing, they're taking those opportunities and shooting the 3 ball, and hopefully some of them will start falling in the second half. But let's talk about the shooting right now as a whole. You saw it there. Neither team shooting quite well so far in this game. Syracuse looking to attack the paint a little bit more, get some of those easy buckets, but even some of those aren't falling.
It's kind of been missed opportunities from both sides. We've seen some open looks, just not fall for them, and it starts at the free throw line as well. Just got to make those easy ones. They're free for a reason.
Free throws definitely matter, but so do those layups. And when you have a wide open shot, even a 3-point attempt here, you see from Avery Lee, Syracuse slacking off a little bit, ends up getting the rebound. But from both teams' perspectives, not being able to knock down those shots and capture those second chance opportunities. Although Yale is out rebounding Syracuse by quite a large margin.
They are out rebounding them, and the offensive board stands out to me. For Yale, they have more offensive rebounds than they have defensive rebounds. They've been crashing that offensive board, especially Marissa Chapman, standing only at 5'9". She already has 6 boards only on the offensive end, 1 on the defensive end, 7 total. Syracuse needs to man up, get a little more physical down low.
And that's partly why Yale has so many three-point opportunities in the first half, 11, just knocking down 1. But you see Mackenzie Egger, the leading scorer for this Yale Bulldogs squad, 0 from 3 from beyond the arc, 3 of 12 overall. Georgia Woolley for Syracuse, the 2 leading scorers for both these programs, not shooting quite well, Riley. So if you're the best players on these teams, how did they take that step up in the second half to make sure they're doing it all for their teams?
I don't think you need to shy away from shooting the ball, because these are 2 guys that have proved that they can score the ball with ease the rest of the season. I think with time that's gonna come in this game specifically, but it's also not a bad idea. Spread the ball around, let some others try to get hot and see who can maybe start a spark for either team.
Syracuse up 33-20 over Yale. Coming up the second half, but we're not done on our ACC Network Extra halftime report just yet. Stay with us. Syracuse up 33-20 against Yale in the JMA Wireless Dome. After a slow start, the Orange pulled away 13 points ahead into the second half. Welcome into our Newhouse studios for your ACC Network Extra Halftime Report. Avin, Riley Underwood here with you, breaking down the game. And Riley, Syracuse has a really busy week coming up. Obviously, they got to finish today's game, but quite a few more games upcoming for Syracuse this week.
They have a lot to look forward to, and it's really a time to mesh together and figure out and solidify that lineup, who it's going to be, who are going to be your main guys. They have already played 11 players in this first half. When you get to those teams, Texas A&M, Notre Dame into ACC play after a couple more out-of-conference games after that Fighting Irish game, there's a lot to be figured out with this Orange squad.
That Notre Dame game, crucial for Syracuse to kick off ACC play. We'll talk about that one in just a little bit more. Hannah Hidalgo and the rest of that Fighting Irish squad lost to the Orange in the JMA Wireless Dome last year, and Syracuse hoping to repeat that exactly this year. But for the Orange, non-conference play not quite done yet. Obviously, with Yale today, they got a couple other ones, Riley, coming up that are going to be important for them, maybe down the stretch before ACC play continues. So about that non-conference play, how important is that for Syracuse, and what are you expecting going forward?
Well, it's really important to finish this one off strong, but it's also important to note how things have been going. Head coach for the Orange, Felicia Leggett-Jack, has really wanted to hammer down the effort on this team, especially after that Albany loss. She kind of banged on Dominique Camp for her effort. She said that's why she inserted Olivia Schmidt into the lineup, and she's kind of made the most of her opportunity. Didn't get the start today, but really that effort and going forward and trying to scrap out those close wins has been key for this squad and been the message that Leggett-Jack wants to hammer home.
Well, they're not done with ACC play just yet. In fact, it hasn't even started, but should be an exciting one coming up. They got Notre Dame and Georgia Tech and Florida State after that. 3 teams that Syracuse beat last year in the JMA Wireless Dome and had quite a bit of success. But like Riley mentioned, some different rosters, different rotations on the floor. Not sure exactly who's going to be playing against those ACC opponents, which is why it's important that these non-conference games, Syracuse tries to figure that out. They also play SMU later on this season as well. A new ACC face that Syracuse is yet to play in quite some time. We have a couple really exciting ACC matchups coming up real soon. But outside of the ACC matchups, Riley, we still got to talk about Yale for the rest of the game today. And we'll be right back on the Cuse.com halftime report. Avin, Riley Underwood back with you for more Syracuse Yale basketball talk. The second half just a couple minutes away. Syracuse up 33 against the Yale Bulldogs in the JMA Wireless Dome. Syracuse looking to extend their lead in the second half. Avin, Riley Underwood here with you for your ACC Network Extra halftime report. And Riley, a lot of important things that we got to look at for the second half play. But what are some of your keys for the second half for both Syracuse and Yale? Let's start with the Bulldogs, though.
Well, I will start with the Bulldogs, and I think you need to continue to crash those offensive boards. We saw it. Yale, 13 offensive rebounds already. They're really doing a good job getting in there. Marissa Chapman has been exceptional on that side of the ball on offense, but getting those boards, try to get more of those points in the paint, though. That's what I'd like to see. Get those second chance opportunities because you get those offensive rebounds, try to put it back up, make some points off of it. You also have to protect the ball. When you're playing a Power 5 team like Syracuse, who does turn the ball over, you can't give it right back. So protecting that ball, really holding it like a prized possession, and taking good calculated shots. It's okay to run the shot clock down a little bit. For Yale, that's my keys.
Well, like you mentioned, Syracuse was sloppy with the basketball in the first quarter, and that kind of completely flipped. Now both the turnover margin is tied for both teams, looking for that one to be competitive. But what about your Syracuse keys?
For Syracuse on the offensive end, you've got to pound the paint. You're bigger than these guys. You shouldn't be letting them shove you around, especially Isa Verajao. She's been playing great so far. The niece of former NBA journeyman Anderson Verajao. She has some of those post moves, too. They're pretty good.
Well, a big second half coming up. We'll toss it right back to Hudson Ridley and Adam Gockin for your second half of Syracuse and Yale. Enjoy the game.